My first strange experience in life happened during the Cultural Revolution, a time both thrilling and absurd. I was in elementary school, the hardest school to graduate from, in my opinion, because time moved unbearably slow. My homeroom teacher was Ms. Liu. Ms. Liu was in her 20s, graceful in figure, with a pale face and a kind pair of almond-shaped eyes. I first met Ms. Liu when I went to register for school. By the time it was my turn, she had probably already met dozens of parents and children that day. Seeing me, she straightened up, bent down slightly, held my hand, and with a weary smile asked the question she might have asked 100 times, "What are your hobbies?" "What are hobbies?" I asked in return. Truthfully, I knew what it meant, but sometimes I pretended to be dumb for no reason. Hobbies are things you like. I like cicadas. Ms. Liu and the surrounding parents all burst into laughter. Most of them were fake laughing, of course. Ms. Liu looked a little helpless, probably thinking another half-wit had landed in her class. She taught Chinese. During lessons, she held a slender pointer made from a branch of the willow tree outside the classroom. Her soft figure swayed gently on the podium, like a weeping willow in the spring breeze. Then one day, regular classes stopped. Every day we just sat in the classroom studying Chairman Mao's writings. On a lazy, boring afternoon, Ms. Liu announced, "Today, everyone has memorized the 3 old articles," as if a great burden had been lifted. It had taken our entire class 3 months to memorize the 3 articles from Chairman Mao's book. Though really, it was just one kid who dragged it out for 3 months. Half an hour before that, he finally stammered his way through the last one. Everyone else had finished ages ago. One girl, Chen Ping, memorized all 3 in just 3 days. If she'd been given 3 months, I bet that nerd could have recited them backward. Next, we were ordered to repeatedly read the little red book Chairman Mao's quotations. It wasn't that I hated reading his words, it's just that reading the same stuff every day got boring. But I had no choice, so I forced myself through it, half-heartedly mouthing the words. Eventually, I started nitpicking the book just to entertain myself, trying to find flaws in the text. Turned out, it wasn't easy. The quotations, while not exactly fun, were nearly airtight. Still, I didn't give up. At least having a mission made it less dull. Finally, one day, I found something, or so I thought. One quote read, "If the broom doesn't reach it, the dust won't run away on its own." Dust doesn't have legs. It's not an animal. How could it run? And even if it did grow legs one day and could run, then whether the broom reached it or not wouldn't matter. The dust could run if it wanted to, and stay put if it didn't. And if a level 12 typhoon blew through, the broom might stay still, but the dust would be gone anyway. But I didn't share this discovery or my logic with anyone. I didn't want to be dragged out for public denunciation. Besides the broom thing, another quote confused me even more. Chairman Mao said, people like Khrushchev sleep beside us? Khrushchev was a man. How could he be sleeping beside Chinese leaders? If Khrushchev was sleeping beside Chairman Mao or other leaders, where would Jiang Qing and the other wives sleep? Also, Soviets like spring mattresses, while Chinese preferred hard wooden beds and Chairman Mao had to sleep on a hardboard bed. Plus, Chairman Mao was nocturnal. By the time he went to sleep, Khrushchev would be waking up. No way they were sleeping side by side. Days passed slowly like this, until suddenly something thrilling happened. Guys, the school just informed us today, you will voluntarily form your own rebel groups, Ms. Liu announced in a dazed tone. The class erupted. Kids banged on desks, stomped their feet, cheered. When the noise finally settled, Ms. Liu continued, bypass British, please write down the names of each rebel group and their leaders for me. Then she returned to the teacher's office. Bypass British was a tall, thin girl with narrow eyes and a high nose bridge. Among the students at our school, if we don't count gender, there were 7 named Pass British, 8 named Catch America, and a pair of twins named Resist America and Aid Korea. Resist America and Aid Korea lived right next door to us. One evening, a distant relative of mine came to Shanghai from the countryside for medical treatment. He was sitting by our window, chatting with my grandma. Suddenly, the mother of the twin siblings next door shouted, Resist America. Aid Korean. Come back. The shout scared the relative so much he almost fell off his chair. He stammered, is the Korean War starting again? This relative had fought in the Korean War. He was wounded by a U.S. mortar on Wushan Mountain and had since suffered from shell shock. At last, I no longer had to secretly hunt for flaws in the little red book. No more lessons, no more studying. Rebellion was awesome. Right then and there in the classroom, we split into fractions and whipped up 13 revolutionary rebel groups. Some of these rebel teams had just 2 or 3 people, some had 4 or 5. Only Yezojun formed a one-man rebel group. The Ye family had 6 siblings, and he was the youngest, nicknamed Little Six. His backpack was the dirtiest in the whole class, often stuffed with dead sparrows and dried chili peppers. Ms. Liu got a headache every time she saw him. Jin Huan, Tian Yuanping, and I formed our own little rebel group. Jin Huan was muscular and strong, good at wrestling. They said you caught a mosquito with your biceps. I asked him one day. Someone had told me that when he flexed his arm, he trapped the proboscis of a mosquito that was sucking blood from his bicep. Not true, he replied. I killed a mosquito in the dark. It stuck to my arm and I didn't see it. Jin Huan was the wrestle king of our grade. Every grade in the school had its own wrestle king, the best wrestler among the students. Jin Huan only ever lost to 2 guys, one was his older brother, Jin Pu, who was the wrestle king of a higher grade, the other was the ground hooligan. This ground hooligan usually showed up on rainy days. It was actually just the moss growing on the ground, it is incredibly slippery. Tian Yuanping was a bit chubby, with a pair of puffy, watery eyes. He enjoyed calligraphy and painting, had a gentle temperament, and was very much the artsy type. If there had been a king of art among the class royalty, he would have easily claimed the title. As for me, if there were such a thing as a king of academics, I might have had a shot, though only if a few of the girls in our class were left out of the competition. Otherwise, the crown would have gone to them without question. Later on, 3 of those girls truly lived up to their promise. They went abroad to study, landed jobs in Europe and the US, and eventually settled down there. Our rebel group was called the What Fine Soldiers Corps. I came up with the name by borrowing a phrase from Chairman Mao's big character poster. The name reflected both our determination to follow his ideology and our desire to escape the monotony of sitting in the classroom all day reading the Little Red Book. Jin Huan, Tian Yuanping, and I all made it into the leadership team. Jin Huan was appointed commander-in-chief, Tian Yuanping became chief of operations, and I served as the political commissar. Almost all of our classmates came from military families, so when we formed our rebel groups, it felt only natural to adopt names like brigade or division. Only Xiao Liuzi, who was acting solo, gave his group a unique title: the Youth League for bombarding the headquarters. But he quickly changed his mind and asked PAS British to upgrade the Youth League to an army corps. Soon enough, the rest of the groups followed suit. Before long, every group had become an army corps. And just like that, 13 army corps sprang up out of nowhere in our class. Their names were quite something too. There was our own So Good, along with Chairman's Guider, and even one called Dig Your Butt. Most of the names were downright crude. Only one stood out with a touch of creativity: the Nicholas Corps. The commander of the Nicholas Corps was Li Dalin. With his big eyes and high-bridged nose, he looked a bit like a Soviet. And since he shared the partial same given name as Stalin, we ranked him number 4, after Stalin's place in the pantheon of revolutionary leaders. When we expressed confusion about the name of his corps, number 4 explained, Nicholas was the name of a gate at the Winter Palace, the target of the Bolshevik assault in the Soviet film Lenin in October. It symbolized the October Revolution. Naming their corps after that gate, he said, was a nod to the January storm, when Shanghai rebels seized power, our local version of a revolutionary uprising. That's nonsense. The film Lenin in October never mentioned the Nicholas Gate at all. The gate actually appears in another Soviet film, Lenin in 1918. In that movie, when the Kremlin's guard captain was negotiating defection terms with the rebels, he deliberately changed the subject by asking, "Should we open the Nicholas Gate?" Feeling that wasn't exciting enough, I made another proposal: to concentrate our forces and defeat the enemy, why not reorganize our 13 Army Corps according to the 4 rows of desks in the classroom? Everyone sitting at desks in the same row would form one army, turning the whole class into just 4 armies. The suggestion was immediately approved. And so, Our ragtag bunch in the class was reorganized into the 1st Army, 2nd Army, 3rd Army, and 4th Army. We should send a telegram to Beijing, Xiao Liuzi suddenly exclaimed excitedly, to report the good news to Chairman Mao. The classroom erupted in cheers.